Okay. Um, I'm Julianne Jang. First of all, thank you for inviting us to present at the Global Innovation. I'm currently a sophomore and the internal liaison and social media manager for NoVasta.
Hi, I'm Reya Kannan. I'm a junior at Chelmsford High School, and I'm currently the Chelmsford chapter president. And we're so excited to be talking to you guys today about what we're doing. And thank you so much for having us on here.
You're welcome.
Okay, I'm thinking, could I share my screen for our slides?
Definitely. Please feel free to do so.
Okay, so, so we are part of the NoVasta organization, and our name stands for NoVasta is in Latin for no waste, and that is part of our goal for zero waste and also for zero hunger. And so we are a global organization, and our initiative is for us to combat food waste and also to improve food insecurity. And we have currently been collaborating with restaurants, supermarkets, and businesses to gather leftover food and deliver it back to the community for homeless shelters and combat the food waste issue.
Yeah, so as Julianne mentioned, the thing that makes our organization so interesting is that we have a dual mission with both food waste and food insecurity. A little look into the food waste part of it. Every year, the world wastes around 1.5 billion tons of food, and that waste contributes to roughly 8 to 10% of global greenhouse gases. Most people don't really know the impact of what food waste does to our environment. And also, 28% of the world's agricultural land is gone to waste because the food that's grown on it is thrown away at the end of the day. Next, we have food insecurity, which impacts the people side of things. About 2.6, sorry,
Oops, so sorry about that.
you good. 2.6 billion people worldwide cannot afford a healthy diet, and roughly 673 million people faced hunger in 2024. That number is getting lower, but it is still a very astonishing number. And this is interesting because one third of all food produced globally is lost or wasted. So, our mission is to stop this unnecessary food waste and divert this food to the people that need it the most. So, where our waste mostly comes from is 43% of it is from, sorry, 43% of it is from, could you go back?
Oh my God. Okay. Wait, just tell me when you want the
Okay,
slides
yeah.
passed.
43% of it is from homes, 40% is from restaurants, grocery stores, and food service companies, and 16% is from farms, while 2% is from manufacturers. Okay, next slide. So again, few more statistics. 4% of US greenhouse gas emissions is just from food waste alone. 14% of all freshwater use is kind of lost because of this food waste, and 18% of all cropland use is lost as well. And this is a very shocking statistic, but almost 1 in 10 people in the world do not get enough to eat.
Okay, so reasons behind such a large scale amount of food waste is that a lot of brands and companies are overproducing, and this is causing a lot of products that is not being used, and it is causing a lot of waste. And we also have poor supply chain management, and so this means that a lot of people are not really managing these waste products responsibly, and it just gets thrown away usually at the end of the day. And we also have retail standards as to why certain people want certain things on the shelves, and when it does not meet those standards, they're usually thrown away. And there's also that consumer behavior of not really taking responsibility yourself of all this waste that is being caused.
Yeah, so now let's go in back into the environmental impact that we were talking about earlier because of all of the food waste that's going into landfills. One shocking fact is that US landfills are projected to run out of space in the year 2036, which is very soon, and it makes it a problem that's on us because of through climate change and through just global issues. So greenhouse gas emissions are our main issue. Food waste in landfills produces methane, which is a major contributor to climate change. Next, there's also a large amount of water waste. There's this is through fresh water, which is used to grow the produce that is essentially wasted at the end of the day. And then also another water related problem is water pollution. Fertilizer, pesticide runoff from unused crops contaminate rivers and ecosystems, and food waste from landfills also lead to water pollution. Next, we have soil degradation. Overproduction of food depletes soil and nutrients and reduces long term fertility. And then land use and deforestation. Land is obviously cleared for agriculture that ultimately produces wasted food. And then lastly, we have biodiversity loss. Intensive farming for excess production destroys habitats and reduces wildlife populations just for the food to be wasted at the end of the day. Next, a little bit about the economic impact. Obviously, food waste represents billions of dollars wasted globally. There's also increasing production costs for both farmers and producers who spend money on growing, processing, and transporting food that is never sold or eaten. This also leads to higher consumer prices, which affects all of us, and waste and supply chain raises the overall food cost for consumers. We also have lost labor and resources. So, time, fuel, and human labor used in producing waste is economically inefficient. And there's also strain on waste management systems, as we mentioned before with the landfills, and also governments and municipalities spending significant funds collecting and disposing of food waste. Next, we also have reduced food security efficiency. Economic resources that could reduce hunger are instead lost to inefficiency in the food system.
Okay. Also, a lot of this food insecurity can be much closer than you think in our community, as we know that for statistics that there are 17 million households where they do not have sufficient food, and 44.2 million people who live in food insecure households, and also 7.3 million children, which is like 1 in 5, living in insecure households with food. And so this shows that there's a lot of people that in our own communities that are not getting sufficient amounts of food, and why we need to take action into improving such issues. So how can we fight this food waste? So we can plan meals and shop with a list to avoid overbuying food, because a lot of issues can be us throwing away food that we don't finish eating. And we also can store food properly to extend freshness and reduce spoilage, and also understand food labels best before versus expires on to avoid unnecessary disposal, and also use leftovers creatively instead of throwing them away, and also compost food scraps instead of sending them to landfills. And also, this is part of what we kind of do as part of our organization, but donate extra unopened food to local food banks or community programs.
So now we'd like to talk about the policy and advocacy part of it because that's also a big part of the NoVasta organization. Sorry.
I'm so sorry. I don't know why that keeps happening.
So, firstly, each chapter individually advocates at the state level through communication with legislators and local outreach. We're also part of the Zero Food Waste Coalition, so we're working to reduce food waste nationwide. And there were recently submitted comments to the USDA, FSIS, and FDA on food date labeling practices and challenges. And also supporting the Food Date Labeling Act allows us to reduce waste, save money, and increase food donations.
Okay, so currently our impact is that we have donated over 17,950 meals, and this is throughout the 25 chapters that we have worldwide. And we are further also expanding our like group as it is. We have some pictures here of us with our local partners donating to our local food shelters. And for what we have done, we've also had current awards and honors. We were recently featured in the Global Boston Globe, a newspaper in which we got to represent what we exactly did in our organization. And we also had the Boston City Hall recognition ceremony where our founders, Ariana, Sophia, and Ruth, got to talk with our city council, one of our city councilors, Gabriela Coletta.
So yeah, just to close it off, we have made a lot of impact with this organization, and we work every single day to connect us with new businesses so that we can bring this food waste into the people that really need it. And we want everyone in this call to be able to have the same opportunity, if you guys have time on your hands, to either individually think about sustainable food waste practices, or even join us today by I think it's on the next slide. Sorry. Also join us today by looking at the QR code or going onto our link tree to see where you can sign up, where you can start a chapter, or just volunteer as well.
Thank you so much. Uh, this was an amazing presentation that you gave. And I believe that the impact that you have given to the world will make a very big difference in the years to come. Uh, Not just to Boston or or to Massachusetts, but to the entire nation or globe. Uh,
Yeah, thank you so much for the
Paula, you're welcome. Paula, would you like to start, or can I take it on?
I'm always interested in the questions you have nearby, and so I will save mine for after yours.
Sure. I have first a question, one question, and
Mhm.
then I have a few avenues which I think may help expand your efforts.
Okay.
So my question would be by uh, by which organization were you able to turn this from a question to a nonprofit to a part of a global alliance?
Okay. So we aren't actually the first founders of the organization, but I go to the same school as them, and I think the main goal was that we were seeing a lot of this food waste in our own communities, and I think it was about like taking that first step to really taking innovation and really like actually like giving back to the community. And I think Ariana really was able to talk to some restaurants around and through community like service and also like donating, she was able to like expand it and be like, why not us like take the action first instead of waiting for someone else to take it?
Yeah, like with the organization, like it's not like it's just like one organization that really helped us. I think it's just like the full like every single chapter has a few businesses that they're partnered with. So every one of those businesses really has an impact on our journey.
Um, and then that was a great answer, and indeed, I believe that is true. There are many uh, there are many avenues that help us grow into a larger non-profit or larger initiative, right? And my suggestion would be, or rather, it's somewhat a question as well, would be how how does your or do you guys expand to food waste in schools, such as, so for example, in my school in Washington State, we see a lot of food waste happening every day. Like each person dumps like half their meal into a trash can for cleaning, right? How are your initiatives or potential goals oriented towards the reduction of food waste and in cafeterias of schools?
Yeah. That's a great question. So the main thing is we focus a lot not just on food waste, but the other half of the issue is obviously food insecurity. So even if we were to talk about the food waste in school cafeterias, it most likely just isn't if it's like being thrown away from like other people, it just probably isn't suitable to give to other places as food.
Mhm.
So a lot of the times when for me personally in my experiences when I talk to businesses to bring food waste, they asked a lot of questions about like is this allowed to do at this certain place? The shelters also asked a lot of questions. Sometimes there were many restrictions on what type of food we could bring. A lot of times we could bring in desserts, but we couldn't bring in other cooked foods. A lot of times it was only canned items. So I think that really creates a barrier. But I like your question, and I like how like you're thinking about how to expand it to school cafeterias, and we'll definitely think about it.
Oh yeah.
Thank you.
sorry, adding on to that, I think definitely like we're trying to like start more initiatives like within school, like helping students kind of add back to the community. Like we've been like hosting food drives, which kind of like let students like really like add more into the organization or like join and become a donator. But I do agree that I feel like there's a lot of limitations as to the types of food that we can donate. And I do know that like personally at my school we have like composting clubs that help with like food waste because we do have a lot of like lunches that get thrown away or like food that's like not eaten.
Yes. And thank you for the both the answers. It it really highlighted the potential and the limitations of help of donating foods from schools, and I really like that answer. Thank you. Paula, would you like to go?
Sure. Yeah, you answered a little bit of my question, especially moving into the educational organizations. But yeah, I just was curious. You've already made such progress, and you have, I think you said 25 chapters. So on the roadmap, what are your next benchmarks or milestones? What's the goal for expansion of chapters or reduction of waste? I can't remember what metric you used for reallocating the food waste and putting it to good use. So just curious about the next steps.
Um, Honestly, since I have the role of like internal liaison and also like social media. I feel like for next steps, it's really like encouraging people to actually go out and donate because I think a lot of people want to help, but it's like that first step of like actually going out and finding a shelter near your community and actually finding a partner that you can like get food from can be kind of difficult or like it's hard for people to like actually like start doing that instead of just like sitting at home and maybe just like supporting through there. And I think it's really important that we like really build our community to like make this be a larger initiative and have people really want to take responsibility for all this food waste that is currently being like produced.
That's
As a chapter
interesting. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
chapter founder, I can definitely also relate to Julianne. It is very hard to get the people in our chapter to really go out there, talk to businesses, and get them on board with our organization. And a lot of times we do face a lot of rejections or like hesitation. And I feel like that's just like a step in the process. But I think mainly building the organization to a point where like businesses can just like even like know about it in the community would be a really great place to be. And then also another big step that I would like to take for our for my chapter specifically is I think we haven't really been doing too much like policy or advocacy in that sense. So taking more of like a policy steps to talk about food waste in our community, talk about food insecurity, talk about like the recent SNAP benefit situation. That would be really impactful as well. And I know like the core board or like the founding board also did a lot of political work like that, which is something that I look up to.
Yeah, it's such a complex situation. Again, I applaud the whole organization on the progress so far, and it makes me curious about, based on the successes you've had, what could be replicated, and then how to adapt that for something that's has less friction, like you were saying. Just make it really easy for organizations to go, oh, we just heard about that, we're in, rather than waiting for an introduction. So
I
wow. And that leaves room for a lot of different folks like you that have different strengths and skills. Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think like the main thing is like making people in your group to like really just go out there and talk to businesses. It's like a hard first step, but like once you get the movement going, it's like it's nice to see the small successes.
Hmm,
Mhm.
I'm sure. Well, I wish you so well with that. Hmm.
Yeah.
Wonder if there are any other questions popping up.
Not on, not on my end as of now, but excellent job. I wish you the best of luck in the expansion of your initiative towards the world.
Thank you.
I have one more
Much.
question.
Oh yeah.
You may not have the accurate answer to this, or maybe you do, but at the very beginning, you talked about how much 633 million people are facing hunger, and it has gone down slightly, you said, or
Yeah.
one of
Mhm.
you said. And is there a reason for that?
I honestly just think like as systems grow, like more people have, I guess the more people have more time to like fix it. Like there's always been this issue and there's always been organizations working to fix this issue. So I guess as time goes on, people just have more chances to fix the issue and like put in more time and money and effort into it. But yeah, recently with like the government and like the new situations that are coming up in the US specifically, it is kind of hard to figure out where it's going through in the country and like where we're going to end up in the future. So it's unpredictable, but it's good to see like the amount of progress that these initiatives have been taking on.
Yeah, also I think um like it's a lot of like students are also starting to like try and take initiative, which I also think like why stuff like the global innovation like field trip, like students are able to like actually like take innovation and like take that step to like trying to improve the community themselves. And I think like we've also tried to like have partnership and like make meetings with like our city councilor, and I think like taking that action for like and making that next step to like political like changes also helps like like global like issues.
Got it. Yeah. Wow. Oh, well, that is so encouraging. I appreciate that perspective and that background. Thank you.
Oh yeah, we do have the link for the website. Sorry, I don't think we stayed on that slide for too long. So
Hmm.
I will put it right in the chat.
Sure.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Also, we do have a main website, but it is currently down. But if you just searched up NoVasta, it should pop up.
Okay, we'll search that up.
Looks like he's searching now.
Yes, I see the website. Thank you. Yeah. Um, if you have anything else to share, now would be a good time. Um, Otherwise, thank you so much.
Yeah, of course, thank you. Yeah, if anyone has any like questions, I'm sure the website has a place to contact the people that work on the board. So, yeah, thank you guys so much for taking the time
Yeah.
to listen to us. And we're really glad to be able to be here today and like have this much impact through this organization.
Yeah, thank you so much for inviting us. If you want, we can like add the email to Navasta if in the chat if you guys would like.
Sure.
Yeah, and I believe that Julie has, our Global Innovation Field Trip should have contact information as well. So in
Yeah.
case somebody misses it, uh, you can get a hold of us and we will make sure you have the information you need.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Yep, thank you.
You're
Wonderful.
welcome.
Have a great rest of your weekend.
Thank you, you too.
Bye. Thank you.